Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings for Thursday, December the 8th. Now we do have a small slate for Thursday, only 3 games today, so going to be a quicker video, but we're still going to go game by game, guys. We're going to give my quick thoughts on this 3-game slate, what I do like, taking a first look on Wednesday night. Before we get started with the breakdown, as always though, if you guys enjoy these DFS videos, please hit that like button down below. I do appreciate the likes. Hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And if you guys are new to the channel and you have not checked out PrizePicks yet, PrizePicks is the sponsor of this video. You guys can sign up for PrizePicks and use my promo code Noah. You will get your first deposit matched up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code, or just click the link in the description. And I do want to give a shout out to PrizePicks because they're running a great promo right now. They have a free square available for Sunday Night Football in the Chargers and Dolphins game. They have Justin Herbert's passing yards set at 0.5. This is a free pick that PrizePicks is giving you. It's going to be available all the way up until Sunday Night Football starts, so you have all week to use this promo. You just have to find any other pick you like to pair with this. You can pair 1 pick with this and make a 2-pick entry, or you can pair up to 5 picks with this free square, make a 6-pick entry, and potentially win 25x your money. So if you like to go for the higher payouts, you can make a 6-pick entry. If you want to play it safe, just find another pick to pair with this, and you would triple up your money, assuming that the pick you play, you get right. So definitely give PrizePicks a try, guys. Use promo code Noah when you sign up, and you will get your first deposit matched up to $100. And make sure to get some entries in with this free square while it's available until Sunday night when that Chargers and Dolphins game starts. But let's talk through the 3-game slate for today. We'll start off with the first game of the night. Talk about the Heat and the Clippers. So looking at this game, there's kind of a lot of question marks right now. It's going to be tough to really go too deep into this one. When you're making like a first look, it's just there's so many guys questionable, but do want to mention it's a back-to-back for the Clippers. They've already said Paul George plans to play, so I'm expecting Paul George to play, but I think it's very, very likely that Kawhi Leonard will not play. He hasn't been ruled out yet, but it's he's not. I don't think he's going to play on any back-to-backs this season, so I'm expecting Kawhi to be out. Now, John Wall did not play Wednesday. I'm assuming John Wall will play today. Marcus Morris, on the other hand, he was out Wednesday with an illness, so we really don't know his status yet. He's kind of a question mark. Norman Powell's been out for the last few games with a groin injury. We don't really have any update on him yet. And the same goes for Luke Kennard. He's been out the last few games. I think he was out Wednesday for injury management. So that probably means he's going to play for today. So really the big ones are Powell and Morris. I expect Wall to play. I expect Kennard to play. And I would expect Paul George to play as well. Don't expect Kawhi to be in there. So most likely the Clippers starting lineup will be Paul George, Ivica Zubac, Reggie Jackson, if he plays. It's a back-to-back, so who knows, but assuming Reggie Jackson plays, he'll be in there. If Marcus Morris plays, he'll start, and then you'll probably see Terrence Mann start in place of Kawhi Leonard. Starting off with the Clippers, I really don't love a ton here. I think Paul George at 9,200 is viable today, especially with Kawhi Leonard out, but Paul George's production's been way down this year. He's not been like the elite point per minute player that he was last season. He's only averaged like 40 DraftKings points per game. He's really not been paying off his price tag at all this season. He's only had like a few good games. We know Paul George has big time upside, and without Kawhi Leonard, there's clearly more usage available for him to soak up. But don't love the matchup against Miami. I think Paul George on this slate is not going to be a priority play for me. I think there's other guys I'd rather spend up on, like Jokic, that we'll talk about later. So not in love with Paul George here, even if Kawhi does rest. And then like the rest of the Clippers, so Ivica Zubac against this Heat team, a good defensive team, especially against centers. Like they've been one of the toughest matchups for centers this year. I think it's a really tough spot for Zubac. Not very interested in him. Reggie Jackson and John Wall, they have a little bit more upside without Kawhi Leonard, assuming he sits, but I don't love either one at their price tags. If Marcus Morris doesn't play, then we'll probably see Nicholas Batum start again. Nicholas Batum started on Wednesday. Don't really know what Batum did. I'm going to pull up his game log real quick. I don't think he did much. He played 20 minutes. He was somewhat productive in those 20 minutes, but if Batum starts, like he's in play for value, there's really not a ton of value on this slate right now. So if you want to go to Batum, I guess it's fine. But I definitely have some interest in Terrence Mann. I don't love the price tag at 5,300, but I expect Kawhi to sit today, and that probably means Terrence Mann will start in place of Kawhi. Terrence Mann, in the games he started, he's usually played about 30 to 32 minutes. He averaged, close to a fantasy point per minute. He's 5,300. Again, I don't love the price tag. I wish he was a little bit cheaper, but I think if Mann does wind up starting here, he is viable. But I'm not like loading up on the Clippers by any means. I think there's a couple viable plays here, but in general, this is not a team I'm super interested in. And then on the Miami side, we're going to have to monitor the status of Jimmy Butler. This is kind of the big news. All these other guys like Hero, Strus, these guys are all probable, so they're expected to play. But Jimmy Butler is questionable. Jimmy Butler did not play last game. It was the second night of a back-to-back, so I thought they would just kind of rested him for because of the back-to-back, but looks like he's questionable for conditioning reasons. He's been out for a few games. He made his return last game, but now that I don't know if he's like been able to get his legs back under him. I don't know what's been going on, but he's questionable for conditioning reasons. So we'll have to keep an eye on this. I think for now we just kind of have to expect Jimmy to play, and if Jimmy is playing, I mean, I don't like a ton on Miami just because with Jimmy playing, it just makes Bam, Hero, Lowry, where they're priced at, none of them look that appealing. I think the matchup's like okay for Bam. We've seen centers have pretty good games against the Clippers this season. Zubac by no means is like an elite defender, but clearly Bam's upside playing with Jimmy is not nearly as high. Same could be said for Hero and Lowry. Obviously, in a scenario where Jimmy gets ruled out, then yeah, Bam, Hero, Lowry would all look like pretty solid options. Jimmy himself, I think at 8,600, kind of looks appealing here. He's not been a guy that I've played much this season, but we know Jimmy Butler is someone that can put up a big game any night. The price tag at 8,600 doesn't feel too expensive. I think this is a pretty solid price. So I'm kind of interested in Jimmy Butler here. Honestly, if he plays, he's probably my favorite play on Miami because I don't think I'm going to go to anyone else on this Miami team. It's hard to go to these other guys just because, especially where they're priced at. I mean, none of them look like that appealing plays. I think guys like Caleb Martin and Max Strus, I'm probably only going to consider if Jimmy Butler gets ruled out. So that does it for this game. I think that's pretty much everything there. Let's talk about the next game, the Spurs and the Rockets. So this is by far the most appealing game on the slate. And, on these small slates in tournaments and GPPs, it is totally viable to just full game stack a game and then hope that like the other two games are lower scoring or maybe blow out. I could see just full-on game stacking this Houston-San Antonio game because right now it has like a massive total. It should be a pretty close game as well, and there's some decent plays in this game, especially from the value like a value ranking. So, looking at the Spurs side first, no Devin Vassell. At least he's not expected to play. He's doubtful for this game. So Devin Vassell not expected to play. Jakob Poeltl's still out. Keita Bates-Diop is out. Jeremy Sohan is out. So the Spurs are going to be pretty short-handed. I'm guessing their starting lineup is going to be Keldon Johnson, Trey Jones, Zach Collins. And then the other two starters, who starts in place of Vassell? I would assume it's probably going to be Doug McDermott. Doug McDermott right now, I believe, is expected to play. He's probable. So I think Doug McDermott might start. And then don't know who starts in place of KBD because he was the one that had been starting in place of Sohan. So they could maybe start Josh Richardson. They could maybe start Isaiah Roby, I guess, if they want to play him at the 4. Maybe Romeo Langford gets the start. We're going to have to pay attention to what San Antonio's starting lineup is. Depending on who starts, there could definitely be some value here. But starting off with Keldon Johnson and Trey Jones, I think both these guys should pick up a lot of usage without Devin Vassell. Obviously, minutes should be pretty strong, and it's a really good matchup too. Houston's not a good defensive team. They play relatively fast. I think Keldon Johnson, even though his price tag's starting to come up a little bit, he's been playing a lot better lately. Without Vassell here, he should pick up a lot of usage, and I think he's a very solid option in the mid-range. And I think Trey Jones at 6,400 looks very solid as well. It's a good matchup for him. Great matchup, honestly, because Houston, they've been getting killed by guards this season. They've been giving up a ton of fancy points to point guards. Without Vassell, I think we could see Trey Jones be a little bit more aggressive on the offensive end. He's kind of known for like his facilitating more than scoring. He's not really like the best scoring guard, but I think he's going to have to put the ball in the basket here just because without Vassell, you're definitely missing one of your better scorers. So I do really like this. I do really like Keldon Johnson and Trey Jones today. I think Zach Collins should continue to play 25, 28 minutes a night. He's never really going to play like 35, 36 minutes just because with all the injuries he's dealt with in the past, he's not a player that can really handle playing those huge minutes. But with Poeltl still out, he should start at center, play 25, 28 minutes. I know he's been in foul trouble lately, but if he's not in foul trouble, the minutes should be solid. The price tag is not too expensive, so I'm definitely interested in Zach Collins today. And then again, depending on what San Antonio's starting lineup is, we can maybe look to guys like Josh Richardson, maybe look to a guy like Doug McDermott, maybe Isaiah Roby. I think Josh Richardson, even if he starts or comes off the bench, I think he's going to be a pretty good value just because without Vassell, that opens up plenty of minutes and plenty of usage as well. And we know Richardson is a guy that can be relatively productive when he does get minutes. If he plays like 25, 28 minutes here, which I think is going to be what he's probably projected for, very likely that he'll be able to pay off this $4,100 salary, especially in a good matchup in a fast-paced game. So even if he doesn't start, I think Richardson's a pretty good value. And then I think McDermott, if he starts, is in play. If Roby starts, I'll be interested in him. And maybe Langford if he starts, but I know Langford's never been a great point-per-minute player. I wouldn't be too excited about him, but he's obviously really cheap, and we don't have a ton of value on this slate, so you could even go there if he winds up starting. But then looking at the Houston side, so big news to keep an eye on for Houston is Kevin Porter Jr. He is currently listed as questionable. If Kevin Porter Jr. were to get ruled out, I think the biggest beneficiary would definitely be Jalen Green. And I think the other big beneficiary would be Eric Gordon. We saw last time Kevin Porter Jr. was out, Eric Gordon had a massive game. I think it was, let me see if I can find it on the game log. I think it was this game against Indiana. Eric Gordon played 36 minutes, had 41 DraftKings points. Kevin Porter Jr. is a relatively high usage player. He's a guy that's going to handle the ball a lot. So whenever Kevin Porter Jr. is out, they basically use Eric Gordon as like the backup point guard. They're going to stagger him and Jalen Green. So I think Eric Gordon at 3,900 would be probably the best value play on the slate if Kevin Porter Jr. gets ruled out. Honestly, I think you could still consider Eric Gordon at this price tag, even if Kevin Porter Jr. plays. But I would love Eric Gordon at this price if KPJ's out. I think Jalen Green would be a great option as well at 6,900. Even if Kevin Porter Jr. plays, I think Jalen Green's still appealing. Same with Kevin Porter Jr. If he winds up playing, I think it's a really good matchup. I mean, San Antonio has been like the worst defensive team in the league this year. They're dead last in defensive rating. They're playing at a really fast pace. I mean, it's a good matchup all around for basically everyone in this game. So I'm interested in these Houston guards, and obviously, the rest of these guys will look a lot more appealing if KPJ sits. Şengün, I like a ton in this matchup. San Antonio has been giving up a lot of fancy points to centers, even without Pirtle. Putting Zach Collins in there, I don't think much is going to change. Şengün, we haven't seen like the massive upside from him this season. He had a huge game against OKC. Other than that game, though, he's just kind of been like in the 30, 35 DK points. This feels like one of those spots where we could get like a 40, 45 DraftKings points game from Şengün. So I'm very interested in Şengün at 5,800. I think he looks really solid. Jabari Smith as a tournament play, I don't hate. Just getting exposure to this high-scoring game, I think totally makes some sense. And like I said earlier, if you want to full stack this game, I don't hate it on a 3-game slate. I'm kind of interested in Jabari Smith for GPPs. Probably it, though. I don't think there's really too much else that stands out from this game. Maybe if KPJ gets ruled out, you could consider a guy like Daishawn Nix. But I think last time KPJ was out, Nix didn't really play a ton. He played 25 minutes. He wasn't very productive. He would be viable, if KPJ sits. But that's really it for this game. Obviously, a lot to like from this one. Definitely, Houston, San Antonio, the most appealing game on the slate by far of the 3 games we have. But the last game of the night is Denver and Portland. So starting off with Denver, I think Nikola Jokic, it's going to come down to what kind of value we have. If we get a lot of value and it's very easy to pay up for Jokic, I think Jokic is by far my favorite stud option on this slate, because you look at the pay up options, it's basically Jokic, Dame, Paul George. Don't even want to consider Anthony Simons a pay up option. Jimmy Butler. So Jokic is clearly the top stud today. If there's anyone on the slate that can put up 70, it's going to be Jokic most likely. Portland, I don't think is going to have an answer for Jokic. I mean, going up against Nurkic, I think this is a fine matchup. I think Jokic can definitely excel here. He's not really been as consistent as he was last season. We've definitely seen kind of a lower floor from Jokic this year, but that ceiling is still always there. He's obviously a very good play on a 3-game slate. Don't really need to tell you that. The rest of Denver, though, I don't love a ton on this Denver team. I think Jamal Murray at 7,200 feels priced about right. I really don't have a ton of interest in him at that salary. Aaron Gordon's coming off a really big game. He put up 42 DK points in 32 minutes. He's been a really tough player to predict this season. He'll have a random big game, and then, next game he'll put up 25 DK points. He really hasn't shown a massive ceiling this year, but at 6,300 on a 3-game slate, I think Aaron Gordon is viable. But I don't really like a ton else from Denver. Bruce Brown's been starting lately, but I think he's priced correctly at 6,200. He's viable, though, if you want to go there. Bones Highland, we saw have a really big game off the bench last game, 30 minutes, 39 DK points. Bones is a pretty high usage player, so any minutes that he gets on the floor, he's going to be productive in those minutes. His minutes have been all over the place this season, especially lately, but I think a lot of that was kind of due to his conditioning, and he was coming back from an illness. That illness seems to be behind him now, given that he played 30 minutes last game. So don't know if we expect 30 minutes again, but I think mid-20s is pretty likely. As a GPP option, Bones is viable. KCP for value is okay. KCP is a guy that I never rostered, but on a 3-game slate right now with minimal value, I could see playing KCP just because he's going to get 30, 32 minutes, and he has a path to 25 DraftKings points. But let's go ahead and talk about Portland real quick before we wrap up the video. So for Portland, you have Damian Lillard, who's back. Obviously, he returned last game. He only played 32 minutes, was somewhat limited. Normally, Dame plays about 36, 38 minutes in close games. He wasn't super productive in those 32 minutes, but Clearly, with Damian Lillard back now, I mean, that's just going to take away from everyone kind of. You know, Simons at 8,700, I think, is pretty much unplayable at this salary. He's just way too expensive. Jeremy Grant is like okay, but I don't love him with Dame back. I think his upside is definitely not as high, but he's shown a really good floor this year. Even playing with Dame, he's been consistent. I just don't know if I think it's unlikely you're going to get like 50 from Jeremy Grant. I think you'll probably get like 35, which is solid, but not not going to win you a GPP. Nurkic, I think it's 7K, someone that I'm always interested in for tournaments. I don't know if his role changes too much with or without Dame. I think Nurkic can still put up big games even playing with Dame. The matchup against Jokic, I don't love, but Nurkic has had some success against Jokic in the past. He put up 40 Draftkings points against him earlier this season. So I'm kind of interested in Nurkic. I feel like, center, a lot of my center interest is definitely going to go to like Şengün and Zach Collins because those guys are so much cheaper. But in GPPs, I think Nurkic is definitely viable. Josh Hart's probable. He's expected to play at 6,100. He's just like okay. Now that Dame is back, that pretty much takes Justice Winslow out of consideration for value. He only played 24 minutes last game. He's really not in play anymore. And I don't think you're really going to consider anyone on the bench from Portland unless you want to play for like a blowout or something. So that really does it for this little 3-game Thursday slate. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, I appreciate you guys watching these DFS videos. Hit that like button if you guys did enjoy. Hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And again, go check out PrizePicks, sponsor of this video. Make sure to sign up for PrizePicks. Use promo code NOAH. And again, take advantage of this free square promo that PrizePicks is running. They have Justin Herbert's passing yards set at 0.5. This will be available all the way up until Sunday night football between the Dolphins and the Chargers. So you have plenty of time to use this promo. If you want to pair it with some NBA picks, some NFL picks, you can decide how you want to play with it. But you have to make at least one pick to pair with this. You have to make a 2-pick entry, or you could pair 5 picks with this free square, make a 6-pick entry, and potentially win 25x your money. So if you like to go for the bigger payouts, you can make a 6-pick entry. If you want to play it safe, just find any other pick you'd like to pair with this. If you get that pick right, you'll triple up your money, easy as that. So definitely get over to PrizePicks, guys. Use that promo code NOAH or click the link in the description. And when you do sign up, you will get your first deposit matched up to $100. But as always, appreciate you guys checking out these DFS videos every day. Appreciate you guys a ton. Thanks for your support. We'll see you in the next one.